we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it.
All right, welcome to episode 107 of the Abuse Hour. It is I, your host, Coffee Long, coming to you unsupervised, unmedicated, and an unchecked threat to society. So, I am rolling hard in the mobile doomsday studio. I meant to record on the way to this little get-together I was going to, but I ended up on the phone instead, and so instead of doing that, I'm going to record on the way back from the get-together. As you can see, I fell well short of the partying hard mark. Did not get fucked up. I'm just like a regular person, just driving along in a regular doomsday mobile, just doing whatever, you know, the way that a regular person does. But it was a good gig. It was our guys. It was some fellas that put together a little get together, a little barbecue, a little stand around, have a drink, talk it up, and it was real nice, man. If you I guess you can't really put too high of a price on getting together with like-minded people, as they say. I mean, having to go around looking over both shoulders. Like, I wondered, you know, you watch stuff about, like, Iron Curtain countries, you know, Soviet Union, East Bloc, Poland, Bulgaria, and this. And, you know, you see this shit where people are like, oh, no, don't say that in here, don't talk this way. And you're like, wow, that must really fucking suck. But, dude, you're living it, man. Like, the fact that you got to get together, you got to go and actively find people and then secretively put out at the last possible minute, like, hey, here's where we're going to get together. Here's how we're going to do this thing. And everybody shows up, and it's like, man, it's dodgy, you know? Like, why does it have to be this way? And we were talking about it, a couple of the dudes, because a lot of the dudes, you know, that I just went to this thing, these are all very different people. Like most dudes are always going to be way younger than me. That's just the nature of things, right? Because I have no business still being alive. But anyway, there's some dudes that are pretty young. There's me that's pretty old. There's some dudes not quite as old as me, but there's single dudes talking about dating. There's old dudes talking about their kids, complaining about boomers and the whole deal. But the one thing that we all have in common is that we have an opinion that you're not really allowed to have. Yeah, your opinion that white people in a country founded by white people for white people should, for some odd reason, enjoy all of the same rights, privileges, and protections as non-white people. Which it would seem pretty fucking obvious on its face, but in modern day America, such is not especially the case. And so you have to meet in secret, not like you're going to discuss some secret fucking plans like, oh, how will we, you know, whatever the fuck, topple parliament or whatever, man. No such thing. Just to get together and hang out and not have to look over both shoulders before you just say what happens to be on your mind, whatever. But it was a real cool time. Some dude, it is kind of a trip. Like, guys show up and they will go the extra mile to, like, hey man, I'm gonna bring something. So like a guy, you know, sorts out the place you're gonna meet up. One guy brought, like, he sliced up a whole side of beef and did up some wings and had barbecued this shit up. It shows up with all this food and we're like, damn. Me and another guy went to the store, picked up a bunch of booze, some beer, and a gaggle of snacks, because if I'm good for nothing else, I can certainly pick out snacks, right? But picked up a shit ton of snacks that will probably go uneaten. They'll get left for the savages, whatever. But yeah, it was a real nice time, man. Real cool. I talked to a dude that significant other is a Russian woman, and he I guess he had gone to visit his in-laws. And he's saying that, like, yeah, he wants to go visit his in-laws and such. Like, he's, you know, got to do the whole dick dance. Because I looked at flying out to Russia just to check it out, man. I thought it would be cool. And apparently still, like, there's not really a way that you can just fly out there and like, yeah, I want to fly into wherever the fuck. And you got to bounce through. Oh, sorry. Oh. But you got to bounce through somewhere like Serbia, or this guy's talking about Istanbul, and then you can fly in there, fly wherever the fuck you want. But he's talking about these dodgy Turks, and their little racket is like, yeah, you fly in, that's a whole separate flight, and now it's basically like you got to get off and deplane, and, you know, as though you were staying there, but now you get back on, and it's like a whole new flight with a whole new process, like you just showed up, and you're going to get right back on the same fucking plane and continue on to your destination. I was like, all right, man, whatever, dude, as long as it fucking works. But I asked him about, like, how much ass pain was it, man? Like, was it a lot of paperwork, a lot of dick dancing? And the guy's telling me, like, no, everybody was pretty cool. He said one of the times he flew in, he got pulled out of line because the visa that he had didn't start for 6 hours. So it looked like he was trying to show up 6 hours early. You're showing up with no visa. So they pull him out, and they're like, hey, what the fuck is it with you? And he's like, what? He's like, all right, it's 6 hours. I'll go sit over there. And they're like, no, you won't just sit. Like, we're going to deport you. Or, we can remedy this with a little bureaucratic fee to file the paperwork, and, everything will be taken care of. Do you have cash on you, sir? And he's like, yeah, I have cash. Jesus, just, all right, whatever, here. And pays up and gets out. But he said, other than that, everybody was super cool, and things were super affordable. But, I mean, whatever, dude. I'd like to try to line something like that up. Like, in my free time, because I have so much of it. But, if we ever do that, I'll be sure. Well, one, I'll have to definitely scrub my phone of any, Austrian art student related memes, just on the off chance that they're like, we just don't like the look of you. We'd like to see what you've got in this folder right here. I don't want that, because who the hell knows what happens after that. Anyway, if I do ever end up doing that, I might have to do like a video episode of like, hey, check it out. Here's some shit. Maybe there's a way I can make myself look like my little avatar. It wouldn't be too difficult. I'd have to find a cigarette, I suppose. And I'd have to find like, I don't know what, a cigarette, a ski mask, and I'd have to doctor it up some kind of way. I'm not fucking dealing with that right now. We'll get to that later. Later, after tickets are purchased. I don't think that's happening anytime soon. Anyway, pressing on then, I guess kind of still on the Russia tip, man. Zion Dawn, there's a lot of weird shit going on. So this dude, like, not quite our guy, but also not quite normie tier. This guy that I know hit me up and sends me this video of, you've probably seen some version of it, this deal with Zion Dawn tuning up Zelensky, basically in front of God and everyone. And like, your initial reaction is like, I want to sit and enjoy this. I want to just savor it because, like, make no mistake, I am not a fan of the t-shirt Jew. Like, this is not fucking cool to me in any way, shape, or form. Like, if you've read anything about these people and the way that they do business, there's a book, and I've mentioned it before, called I want to say it's called The American Jew, like a history of his career. And something like that, but it was from 1926. I'll have to look for it when I get back to the pad, but it's from like 1926 or something. It's like way back when. And the thing that really kind of catches your eye about it is it describes these people, but it describes a lot of the same little tricks and same little rackets and same little stunts that they pull even now. And this business of just being kind of generally grotesque and I want to say just gauche. Yeah, I mean, if I was an artsy fag, then I would say like just terribly gauche. Just untoward, unpresentable, unsavory, just not fucking cool. And I think there's definitely a component of that. This business of putting everybody sort of on their heels, off balance, and just making a scene. About like, oh, give me a minute. I had the shits earlier. Give me a few seconds, okay? Like, why would you say some shit like this? You know, and it's not because they don't know any better, and it's not because, man, not even because it's true, just because it puts you ill at ease. You know, and I honestly think that this guy owns a fucking suit. I know he does. I mean, for that many billions, and I can't imagine how many billions that guy's got stuffed away in some villa in Switzerland, that I know this guy's got a suit. He's probably got lots of very nice suits, but he doesn't fucking wear one to the UN. He doesn't wear one to the White House. He finally deigned to present in some sort of long sleeve black t-shirt and black pant ensemble with little Ukrainian, you know, whatever that logo is, that little satanic Hebrew logo they've got. But he does finally show up in that. And I wanted to just sit and enjoy, you know, watching J.D. Vance and Zion Don just tune this guy up. And they did tune him up. And this was quite honestly like no press conference you've ever seen. Like no real sense of decorum. I saw 3 different portions of it. I saw one piece where J.D. Vance was tuning this guy up, and he's talking about, look, man, you come into the White House. You don't come into the White House and you start telling us how it's going to be. You listen to the president, what he's telling you. You listen. You don't talk. You don't come in here like that. You ask for money. You don't come in here like that. And he's just getting in this guy's ass. And then I see another clip of Trump getting in his ass, and he's talking about, you know, this war would have been over in a couple of weeks if we didn't come and save you. We give you money, we give you arms, and here you are again, and you're asking for money. What is this? You know, just tuning this guy up. I mean, if this was on, like, leaked audio, you'd have to say, like, man, I don't know, somebody is going to get fired over this getting out. This is not something, you don't want to hear people, you know, talking to you this way. And it makes people look bad, dude. And it's you'd want to say like it upsets the balance, right? But the best, I think, like the sweetest one that, I mean, and I guess I don't know how to say. I'll come to that after. But the one that really stood out to me was where they've got these other guys in the room, and you know, if I stare at the guy long enough, maybe I figure out who he was, or it's probably written somewhere. There's probably, you know, it's in the notes someplace. I didn't take notes of it. I just saw the fucking video. But this same little press conference deal, this, I don't know what you'd call it, faux meeting or whatever, they're in there, and there's J.D. Vance on the couch, and Zion Don is in a little armchair, and the Zelensky is sitting in an armchair with his feet a-dangling, not quite touching the floor. And now from behind the couch that J.D. Vance, you know, J.D. Singh Vance is sitting on, behind that couch, there's a gaggle of dudes, and I don't know if it's like a senator or a congressman or some fucking, I don't know who the hell it is. But some dude just chimes in, and he's like, hey, why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you ever wear a suit here? You come here, you wear a t-shirt. Why don't you wear a suit? Do you even own a suit? Do you even own a suit? Yeah, hey, well, come on, pal. And it was like, I mean, it's like watching a motherfucker get bullied in a locker room or something. Like watching a guy get tuned up on a playground. You know, like, damn, those kids are mean. Like, maybe that kid's poor. He doesn't own a, you know, a suit or a nice set of shoes. Why are you picking on that poor kid? Like, what the fuck? Like, it's really, like, if you didn't know the whole story, you'd be like, this is fucking savage. What is this? Like, if you didn't know who any of these players were and you're watching this, you're like, man, who did this guy fuck over? Like, these people are really leaning in. And I wanted, you know, and I still want, I want to just sit there and savor it for what it is. For this mooching Hebrew fuck to finally be getting tuned up, to get straightened out and like, take your fucking t-shirt, take your fucking begging ass, take your fucking villas in Switzerland, take your wife's fucking shopping trips in Paris, take all your fucking co-conspirators with their suitcases full of dollars American, take all that shit and fuck the fuck off back to your fucked up, corrupt ass, shithole, frozen fucking wasteland of a country, and don't never fucking call again. Give me my fucking mixtape and fucking beat it. That's what I want to fucking see. That's what I want to believe is happening here. Unfortunately, I don't think that's all that this is. You know, and I think that's been something to really take home about, you know, the more that we learn, right? You know, it's like if you look back at, you know, Desert Storm, and you look at the Kuwaiti ambassador's daughter pretending to be some random Kuwaiti citizen talking in perfect English about, I saw the Iraqi soldiers throwing the babies in the air out onto the floor from the incubators. And like, if you heard that now, you'd be like, am I fucking stupid? I know this is bullshit. Some fucking little Kuwaiti girl doesn't speak perfect fucking English. She's not some fucking street urchin. But, dipshit American in 1990 or whatever, they don't know that shit, man. They didn't understand that. So you see this and you're like, oh my God, can you believe it? You're not as media literate, as you are now. And as this shit has gone on, our media literacy has increased, but the thing that we're still, I don't know, I want to say like the cutting edge of media literacy is not always like what you see, right? Because before, for a while, you didn't see shit, right? You didn't see anything. You saw whatever was written in the newspaper and you see it like a week later. Hey, look at this. It says only last week they decided this shit, right? You didn't see anything. And then there's the news and they show you a few things, but you're like, wow, I'm actually seeing something. This is fucking madness. And, you compare that with what you saw in the newspaper. Maybe you figure out something or a thing or two, but mostly all you're going to figure out is, you're going to arrive at whatever conclusion is based on the very few pieces of information you're being given, which is shit, right? Where we're at now, though, is where you're seeing all of these people, with a camera in every hand and, accounts from every corner of the world, especially with something like Telegram, man, like the same incident somewhere, the same bombing or whatever someplace, you're going to have like 10 different perspectives of like, yeah, here's a guy that was across the street. Here's a guy in a helicopter. Here's a guy that was in the actual building. Here's a guy that was walking up the street, taking a picture of his dog when this thing went off. All these different perspectives. You're going to see a lot of shit. But what you didn't see as much, was like, okay, I can kind of bounce that off of the shit that they're trying to feed me in the news, and what little, leaks out, I can sort of make something of it. But this thing is like it's like a new level, like the grotesque presentation. It's right back to that Hebrew grotesque, gauche, over the top, like unsettling presentation of showing up in a t-shirt or shitting your pants or, having terrible BO and sitting down for a meeting like, okay, I'm ready. What are we talking about? All right. It's like this over the top presentation, a theater of the absurd for your ass. And here's Zion Dawn and the vice president, where they are not typically in the same place at the same time, but today they are. And they are browbeating this motherfucker. And not only are they doing it, like totally undiplomatically, like breaking fucking nuts on the head of state of somewhere else. There's guys in the background. There's a fucking peanut gallery in play. And this guy is right in there with them, man. I mean, he's like, if the guy threw out a your mom joke, it wouldn't have stood out at all. I mean, the guy was like, you even own a suit? Hey, does your mom dress you? Or what the fuck's your story? Yeah, you little fucking fruit. I mean, it wouldn't stand out at all. So I guess just the fact that it stands out is what catches my eye. And I'll tell you this, the thing that we were going to talk about, and we'll still get to it. I got a long drive here. But the thing that I wanted to kind of focus on, the idea of talking to somebody, and like some of the stuff we were talking about tonight, with this Good Goys meetup, was the idea of kind of tailoring, and not so much like being an optics cuck, but kind of tailoring the way you present your information for maximum impact. Because what do you want? I want this person to understand what I'm presenting to him. I want this person to not just believe what they see on Boomer News. I want them to understand like the true nature of the situation and kind of tailoring your message, right? So before we get to that though, this was kind of the I guess the thing that is sticking out to me with this particular news presentation. So when I was learning to do that shit, right, on one hand, like I've talked about this before, like I learned to do it in a kind of a professional setting, but a lot of what made me good at it was what I had learned from the pickup artist community. And pairing those two things together, when I look at this news, especially this situation like this Trump, Vance, peanut gallery, pile-on Zelensky fucking deal, the thing that really stands out, I guess, is just the fact that It does stand out so much. And in terms of talking to somebody, like I had mentioned before, like I had done in-field interrogations. And again, this is not smacking somebody's fingers with a hammer. This is just, I'm talking to guys on target. I'm figuring out, like, who is this fucking guy? You're Mohammed bin whoever the fuck. You own the house. That's Abdul bin Mohammed, your son over there, whatever. And, you know, I'm getting the lay of the land. This is really all on-target interrogation consists of, for the most part. But what you're looking for is just a fly in the ointment. There's not really, you know, when you get in the weeds with these things, a thing that is like, aha, I have this specific strategy. All you're really looking for, it's like unraveling a sweater. You're looking for the thing that stands out. What's the thing that stands out? What's my in? What's my thread to pull? What the fuck is going on here? So when you look at like a body of work of like all of this shit that you've seen and heard about, whatever, this Ukraine shit or anything you've seen in the news in the last fucking 3 months even, you see all of this shit, but it's got a consistent flavor. It's got a very consistent flavor. And even Trump-related stuff, where this guy gets on TV, he talks and he says things and he presents ideas, but it's got a very consistent flavor. And even underneath all the hyperbole and the bullshitting and the big talk and the promises and the amazing, you're not going to believe it, everybody says it's going to change the world, you're going to be, you know, you think you know, but you don't know half of what I have planned. Even behind all of that shit, this event really fucking stuck out. So when I see something like that, the first thing I have to be inclined to think is that this is not a thing that happened. This is a thing that you are being shown. And I'm not trying to say that like, well, the whole thing was staged, bro, fucking Q, bro. What I'm saying is that this was a very deliberate approach. This did not just happen this way by accident, right? Like, they didn't all go in there of the same mindset that, like, you know what, fuck this guy. You know, we don't even need to really discuss this. You know, I think we're all on the same page here. Let's just fucking hammer this guy. Fuck this. No. They went in there very specifically, I'm going to say these things, because there were spots where old Zion Don was sitting very quietly and just letting it all happen. And if you'll notice, like, and I didn't see the entire thing sequentially, so it did appear to me that Zion Don went last. Like, he let these other characters warm Zelensky up for him. And I cannot honestly see, like, having been in the military, and I've been in rooms with senior politicians, I've been in rooms with, you know, for foreign countries, some, you know, well, not to dox, very fucking big people, very fucking relevant people whose names you would know. I've been in the room with flag officers when they're dressing people down, all right? And what you will not do as somebody junior to that, you will not, one, you'll never step on that guy and be like, hey, and another thing, motherfucker. Like, no, if that guy is talking, you'll keep your fucking trap shut. But the thing you'll do on top of that, or will never do, is you're never going to get this thing going in a direction that the boss has to bring back online. So if he's in here trying to make nice with who the fuck ever, this sheikh, a premier, another officer, you will not go in there and shit talk some, you know, even like his attache guy or something. You know, if the guy's got like a junior officer that's his bitch, and the guy, like, whatever, slammed the door in your face and didn't say sorry, like, you won't walk in there and give that guy shit, because you're going to set the tone of the room all wrong. And then it's going to have to be, hey, it's okay. Yeah, hey, you know, accidents happen. Let's get this meeting back on track. Why don't you shut the fuck up back there, okay? Don't make me have to undo something that you ruin, okay? No, so you'll avoid making these definitive kind of statements or taking these definitive positions, and you definitely won't be any kind of antagonistic. So when you see like a JD Singh Vance, and you see whoever the fuck, congressman, senator, whoever the fuck it is, standing behind the couch just straight flipping shit to this guy, you can't assume that those people were not just greenlit, but pimped. Because understand, like, you're burning a bridge you won't ever get to build back. So, like, you know, if hypothetically a JD Vance wants to run for president, or that guy behind the couch wants to run for president, or wants to be some kind of a senior diplomat someday, somehow. If you were ever hoping to build bridges in any kind of way that necessitates a relationship through Ukraine, that shit ain't happening, because you just made this guy look like a fucking Slipknot on on worldwide fucking TV, in front of God and everyone, in front of this whole country and in front of all of his people. You fucking basically kicked this guy square in the fucking balls. So there's not really a way for you to look at that and tell me that, like, oh yeah, no, this was just, these guys they got carried away with their emotions. Like, no, man, this was fucking coordinated. So it was coordinated for you to see it. Because usually when they come out for these things, you know that it's like, yeah, you know what you're going to say, I know what I'm going to say, we're all happy to be here. And even if it didn't go well, it's a process, and we did make some progress today, and we don't have time to continue today, but maybe we continue another time, and hopefully somewhere down the road things work out. No, this was very much like, fuck you, starting from the janitor. The janitor comes in, says fuck you. The guy that fills the soda machines comes in and says fuck you. The woman that answers the phone walks in, says fuck you, all the way up the line to the guy at the top of the fucking food chain. And he's like, yeah, you know what? Without us, you'd be fucked. So fuck you. Get the fuck out of here. So that was very much the way this went down, and it was very much made for you to see. So the question then is why? Why were you shown this? And that's my question for exactly, like, why are you showing me this? So in looking at the question of why was I shown this, I think, maybe an easy way to get to the bottom of that is to ask ourselves, well, what did I take away from it? What was the message I was meant to take away from it? What could the message was pretty fucking clear. All right, that, like, 1, we're done with fucking Ukraine. 2, this guy's a fucking clown. 3, we wasted a shit ton of money. And as you know, by all the fucking singing and dancing over the last several weeks, this administration, bunny ears, is not one to waste money. We are frugal. We spend wisely. We make smart choices. We don't piss money away. But now, what else does that pair with? Right, it pairs with fucking Israel. Because looking at the shit that's gone on over there, he's floated it a few times, and you'll notice this shit in the news. They will float things a few times, because they floated like Iran. Hey, what do you think if we fight Iran? Yeah, no, you're not feeling it yet? Okay, yeah, no, we don't need to do that right now. Let's do something else. What about fucking China, bro? Fucking fuck China, right? Yeah, fuck those guys. No? You're not feeling that either? Okay, no, we don't have to do that right now. Russia, dude, yeah, fucking fuck Russia. And I actually had a talk with a dude I think this dude's still in his 30s, man, but he got out of this, left the same community I did, didn't do a full 20, good for him, but the guy got out. But I mean, this guy is like, when you say normie, I mean, normie don't even cut it. I mean, this dude is like boomer tier. And I was talking to this guy, and this cat was like, yeah, but bro, I mean, Russia? Seriously? Like, what the fuck? Bro, we can't let the fucking Russians just walk in there and do whatever they want. I mean, if they're going to do that, I mean, he's fucking crazy, I mean, then he's right there at Europe, and no, those are our allies, bro. And I'm like, dude, have you been paying no attention? Like, what the fuck are you watching? You watching fucking CNN or something? Like, where are you getting these fucking takes? I'm like, 1, who gives a shit? Like, what the fuck did Russia ever do to you? Like, honestly, tell me that. What did they ever fucking do to you? And you can look at it as like, yeah, it's, we're not friends, so we do have to be competitors. Okay, we can compete. But where does that equate to, like, we need to finance a completely on its ass, fucked up, broke ass country to go to war with them? Because that puts us in a very tight spot. Where we could have been just competitors, now we're like legit fucking enemies. So how exactly does this work? How do you see this work? And it was just like, nah, bro, all I know, man, is like, I care about one thing, dude. I care about America. And I'm not going to fucking, I'm like, all right, dude, that's enough. That's really enough. But this situation here, though, I think the situation here, it could get wrapped up pretty quickly, because he's, I think, very clearly put it out there. I mean, a goddamn blind man's dog would, could not miss this shit. They're like, yeah, we're done fucking around with the Ukraine thing. And put it to this guy that you're going to sign this fucking rare earth minerals thing. And I did hear one piece of news that he had signed something, but then I hear that like, oh no, he hasn't actually signed anything. Whatever it is, the guy will probably end up signing it, and it'll be a deal that gives the U.S. Monstrous rights to rare earth minerals in Ukraine. Like, I mean, exploitative as fuck. And I think you could probably say that maybe that was the design all along. They're like, yeah, good, fight him, bro. Fucking fight him. Yeah, I mean, yeah, don't take that. You gonna let him fucking do you like that? And now all of your people are dead. You're in fucking debt. All of your women have left Ukraine to go to other parts of Europe or the U.S. and do OnlyFans videos. You got nobody left, man, and you're in debt. So what do you do now? Fuck, I guess, you could just fucking sign it all over to me and we could call it square. Okay. But now the U.S. presence in Ukraine is a business presence and not a military presence. So now if Russia has an issue with it, well, yeah, but this is not a military question, dude. And whoever we do have there as security contractors, that's something you're going to have to take up more in like, an international court type thing where you could just say, I don't like the U.S. doing business in Ukraine. You're not going to get that far with that. But I also know that, well, the way it has been put out is that Trump and Putin have had conversations, and apparently those two don't get along poorly, I guess is the way you could say it. I don't know that they're pals. I don't know anything. I just know that from the sound of it that they can be of a similar mind and like, hey, you got to deliver for your people. I got to deliver for my people. Let's see what we can figure out. If they get the war thing wrapped up, which, has every reason to happen, they just stop funding fucking Zelensky and say, hey, the fucking check is due, shithead. As Zelensky's on the bubble, they're talking about impeachment proceedings already because he did cancel elections and he has fucked this thing up 10 different directions. So they're talking about impeachment for that guy. But if he could get this thing ended and get anything that even loosely resembles acceptable terms, which is basically just don't hang everybody, don't let the Russians have us, and we'll see. Maybe he gets to stay. Maybe he doesn't get exiled. But then again, who gives a shit? Take the billions you stole and just fuck off. I mean, why would you not take that deal? Well, again, yeah, why wouldn't you? Because you're a Jew and you don't know when to stop. But if you were sensible, why would you not take that deal? For Russia's part, though, if they can get some business going with the U.S., like their economy is already doing well in spite of the many, many, many sanctions. So if they can continue to do well and sanctions are lifted and business can be done with the U.S. or even just with Western Europe, I mean, they will take off like a motherfucker. So if Putin can be the guy that makes that happen, I mean, he's pretty much set, and I mean, that guy's pretty much set anyways, but it's all good for them. The thing they do have, though, the piece of leverage they do have is knowing that Trump does kind of have to get this thing done because somehow, like we talked about last time, motherfuckers are still, I mean, look, I'm not a Zion Dawn fan, but at this point, the guy's been in office just over a fucking month? And people are out here flipping shit about well, why do fucking eggs cost so much? You assholes wanted fucking cheap gas, fucking cheap eggs. Oh, you happy now? Everything's still fucking expensive. And I'm like, dude, it has been a fucking month, right? And you're whining like this. It's a bit much. But knowing that these people really, really want this motherfucker to fail, we can assume that Zion Dawn does need a win. He really needs this win. And it does look like that as opposed to his, Gaza on the Riviera or her fucking whatever, Gaza resort, Gaza town, I don't know. Nobody liked that idea. Nobody liked any of these other ideas. People do like to get the fuck out of Ukraine idea. But if he can make that happen, and then puts together, I don't know what a deal with Russia would look like. It would probably be some kind of a 3-part deal where we see some kind of trade benefits with Western Europe and or China, and those places, China and or Western Europe, sees a benefit vis-a-vis, I like to work it in, vis-a-vis the natural gas and oil situation coming from Russia. And in turn, we agree to make the sanctions go away. That's, you could call that like it's a win-win-win for everybody. But knowing that Trump has to get this thing done, Russia can come to the table and be a little bit more of a hard ass about like, I don't know, I need to see some genuine benefit. I mean, we're doing fine on our own. Look, the economy is up. What do I give a shit what you have to offer? Because by all fucking rights, through this violation of the Minsk agreement, they could just keep on rolling and take all of fucking Ukraine for themselves and be like, hey, asshole, I don't know what fucking mineral rights you're selling. That's our fucking shit now. Like, I don't care what you you're shit out of luck. That's Russian shit now. If you want to fly all the way over here and go to war with us in the freezing fucking cold, then by all fucking means, be my guest. But you're already deep in debt. Western Europe is on its fucking ass. You would be coming to us to start shit. We are not starting shit with you. So you will have a fucking problem. That's very much a course that Russia could take. But again, everybody trying to get the best deal they possibly can. If it comes off, it could be like a big win-win-win for, for the U.S. and for Russia. Fucking Ukraine, Zelensky, you already got yours, shithead. Just take your fucking suitcase full of shekels and fuck off down the road. But the kind of dark horse in all this, as you might expect, these Israelis. So while you're looking over here at like, oh, look at all the fucking money we're saving with Doge, and look at all the money we're going to save by not sending any more shit to Ukraine, and look at the money that we might get for, like with these rare earth minerals and this kind of shit. Okay, super, but where's that going to go? You know where it's going to fucking go. It's going straight to fucking Israel. I mean, like I've been yelling this shit for like months. Like, they cashed in that victim card. Like, that victim shit is gone. It is off the fucking table. Oh, the Holocaust. Like, yeah, no, dude. No, that fucking game is done. And I mean, if you look at anywhere like, like Zero Hedge or any of the fucking places that still allow comments, I think even Breitbart is like on the fence with like, yeah, dude, it's not cool blowing up hospitals, dude. You can't quite claim to be a victim, even in spite of all the fucking atrocities suffered, during World War II, these poor people. Yeah, even in spite of that, man, like the boomers are the last holdouts still supporting these people. Leftists are beside themselves. Like, they don't like that shit at all. Us, obviously, we know how we feel about them. But they cashed that victim card in, man. And in exchange, they dropped, dude, what the fuck did they drop? I want to say they dropped more ordnance on Gaza. Well, they dropped more ordnance. I can't remember if it was just on Gaza or on Gaza and Lebanon and Syria. But they dropped a fuck ton of ordnance. And, well, I can definitely say that on those 3 places, they dropped more ordnance than got dropped on Iraq by us. It's a fucking lot, dude. A fucking lot. Like, they leveled that fucking place. So now, like, you fucked that place up, but those people still aren't gone. And that real estate still isn't yours. And they've tried, I guess, again to roll into West Bank, and I don't know how well that's gone. Incursions into South Lebanon didn't go well, so you didn't collect Greater Israel there. They did make the gains, at least most of the gains I think they wanted in Syria, and they overthrew Assad, which is a real fucking downer because the guy seemed like an actual nice guy. But they picked up in Syria, that's fine. They didn't pick up in Lebanon, they didn't pick up in West Bank, they didn't pick up in Gaza. So you got a little bit, but for just a little bit, you cashed in the one thing that has kept you afloat for decades. I mean, shit, for longer than decades. I mean, 100 plus years. It's been this, oh God, always a wanderer, never having a home. Can anyone help me? Oh Lord, oh why forsaken? they've run on this shit forever, and now you cashed it in, and you were hoping to get that greater Israel, and it didn't fucking pan out. So I honestly think that this is the deal where they're like, you know what, we're gonna need America a little while longer. We gotta prop this fucking thing up. Let's start cutting some costs. Let's start running this thing right. Let's get white men back in the military, and let's make these motherfuckers at least a little bit scary again. And that way we can take another run at this. Who knows when? Down the fucking road. I don't know. But in the meantime, let's at least keep these Palestinians pressed down like we have them. And hopefully in short order, we can, take another stab at this greater Israel idea. So that's where I think they're at with this. I think we'll probably see as the year wears on. As this Ukraine thing winds down, I think a lot could depend on this Russia thing. If they put together some kind of monster deal and like, oh, look how great it is, and then they're just backdooring, money out to fucking Israel, that shit I think will go largely unreported. Like, they'll just keep that the big fucking secret. And, shit will just continue as usual. And probably at some point they'll try to rope us into yet another war, and that'll fucking suck. But it is what it is. Maybe we'll be in charge by then. Who can say? But apart from that, I think talking about these ideas, sharing these ideas with people in a sense that, like, look, dude, they're not your fucking friend. Like, let me explain a little bit of what's going on here. This was like, if you happen to not listen to last episode, this was a thing I was talking about where there was talk about like, bro, you got to be out protesting. You got to be doing this shit. And if that's your thing, man, cool, go and do that. If you like marching in a straight line, you just like showing up, making a presence. If that's your thing and you really enjoy it and you feel like you've gotten positive results, then by all means, man, do that shit. My take on it is that I think better results could be gotten through a more personal, kind of a low-level approach. Then that's just what I think. Because at the end of the day, what is it that you want? You want people driving by your demonstration. You want people to drive by you holding a sign or whatever, chanting a chant or putting up a flyer or dropping a banner. You want them to come away with that and go, what was that about? I should look up more about that. Or, hey, that guy kind of had a point. That is what you want at the end of the day. To me, to my way of thinking, a quicker, probably more efficient way to get there would be to just have conversations with people. And obviously these conversations don't just happen on their own. You do have to kind of construct the way that a conversation comes about. So to kind of get into that, I wanted to give like a little breakdown of how this kind of thing works in the sense of getting people to see things your way, but also from like the pickup artist perspective, because this shit, when it just came out, this shit was like black magic. And I can tell you that this shit does actually work. Like, it's really quality stuff, and it does play on a lot of really no shit psychological principles that you can exploit just in a conversation to make someone, just to force them to say, yeah, you're not wrong. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, that is something you want. You don't have to sit there and say, yes, coffee, everything you're saying is right on the money. Coffee is my God now, and I will believe whatever coffee says. I don't need you to say that. All I need you to say is, I can't say that he's completely wrong. That is enough. That opens the door for more down the road, all right? So I guess kind of coming from the top, I will approach this from the perspective of the pickup artist thing, because the deal with the pickup artist thing, if you haven't listened to it previously where I talked about this pickup artist thing, this was something that came out way back. I mean, dude, like 20 years ago, this shit came out. And this was like, as the internet was becoming readily available, like you could still do that shit, but like to have it on your phone, like in your hand all the time, this wasn't something that people really had, right? So you had to still actually get a lot of information from books and little deals like this. And I mean, dudes have been chasing ass since the sun started going up and down. And this whole thing, I think, was kind of born out of guys who were just, I want to say this, like after the hookup culture really peaked, and I guess probably around 2000, when it was like, this was really like the prime time of like, you go out, you meet someone you never met before, you go home and you take a huge risk with your health, and then you go your separate ways. And that shit went on. And there were like entire rules of the road and ways of doing things that revolved around that shit. But just like there were dudes who were doing well with that, there were dudes who were getting absolutely no play. And those dudes were fucking bummed about it. So what a lot of dudes started doing was they started looking at like effective sales techniques, effective manipulation techniques, effective interview techniques. And they kind of, how can you say, like tailored these techniques in a way that allowed them to meet people quickly, develop rapport quickly, and then just kind of adjust their way of thinking so that some woman, granted a few drinks deep, but still some woman that you have never met before who has heard many, many times during her life, do not go home with just some random guy and get naked and have sex with some idiot. Like, don't do this shit. It's extremely risky. You should not do this. But they're doing it anyway, right? And you can, dude, I'll blame women as much as anybody. But what I'm getting at is here that the techniques that these dudes were developing were extremely effective and are still extremely effective. So to not go too far down the rabbit hole on this, I'll give kind of an overview of the concept of some of these techniques, and then we'll talk about how they apply to helping people see things our way. And if you're wondering, there are actually a lot of dudes who started out in that scene, in that like pickup artist scene, and ended up right squarely where we are. It is a legit inroad. There's like the libertarian inroad, the conspiracy theorist inroad, the 9/11 inroad, the pickup artist inroad. Like, no shit, it's a fucking thing. Because once you start realizing that, like, yeah, different people do think different ways, and you start thinking about the way the world works and how there are pecking orders in everything, and you start seeing that, like, dude, I think there's some ways that this shit is being used on me by people who do not have my best interests in mind. And you start spotting it, and then, next thing you know, here you are, throwing these Romans. But anyway, so to kind of give a quick overview of this shit, the idea here behind this, the development of these pickup artist techniques, is that generally the software in your head, the way that you perceive things naturally, is what you could call outdated software. So if you look around, living in cities of several thousand people, this is a phenomenon that has only come about very, very recently. For the very longest time, people only lived in villages of like 150. That was like an average village size, all right? And because of that, certain things, there's going to be certain things that you naturally assume and certain concerns you naturally have. So concerns like, hey, if I make an ass of myself in front of people trying to talk to some woman, I might be completely fucked ever trying to talk to another woman again, because the word's going to get around. In a village of 150 people, that means something. In a city of 1 million people, it doesn't mean shit. You can go and say and do whatever you want in front of some random woman. She's never going to see you again. You're probably never going to run into her again. It's practically impossible. So what these dudes were calling approach anxiety, where like you're nervous about approaching some woman, just get the fuck over it. And they would talk about, like, they'd have little practice sessions of like, go up and just say, like, they'll give you something to say. Like, you have to go up and compliment her socks, or go up and say that you thought she had gum in her hair, or go up and ask, is that gin you're drinking because it smells like gin and only whores drink gin, whatever. Like, you just go up and you fucking approach. And that'll help you get over that that little anxiety you have about, yeah, man, I don't want to embarrass myself in front of the rest of the village. Interestingly enough, like this 150 number, this is something that appears again and again when you look at the psychological component of how many people do I consider, close to me. So there's a number called the Dunbar number, and it is about 150. But the concept of the Dunbar number is this is what people consider their social circle. So the idea of the social circle is that it's like if you saw somebody in a restaurant would you feel weird if you didn't acknowledge their presence? And that's anything from like, oh, that's that guy, I see him around sometimes. Oh, hey, what's up, dude? What's up? Like your UPS guy or something. Maybe a little wave and that's enough. Don't go over there. Or the kind of person that you would call if, say, you had to move a body. Like there's somebody that you know, like, oh man, I really fucked up. I got to call somebody. Who will I call? You'll call this person. All right. So anywhere on that scale, that's going to be like your social circle. And usually it ranges about 150 people. So most of the time, you look at somebody's Facebook friends group or whatever, and it's going to be, I have 700 friends. Like, motherfucker, you don't have 700 friends, dude. Like 99% of those people, if you saw them in a restaurant, like you wouldn't wave to them, they wouldn't wave to you. They don't even know who the fuck you are. So stop it. But the other reason that it's only 150 is because kind of running in the background of your mental programming is the need to kind of manage how all those friends interact, not just with you, but with each other. So like if you're friends with like a bunch of CEOs, but you also happen to be friends with an axe murderer, right? You're going to have to say like, look, axe murderer, bro, I knew, I know we came up together. And, you're cool and I like hanging out with you, but bro, I just, you don't have to have this conversation, but you will naturally do this. Like you'll just drift away from that kind of shitbag friend if you've got more of these guys, or if you've got that one friend that's like the straight arrow and you're kind of a shitbag and all your friends are shitbags, then you're going to kind of like, yeah, man, it's embarrassing when I hang out with this guy. He looks at me all sideways. I'm going to just, I'm going to go over this way. You know what I mean? So that's where this 150 number kind of comes from. But once you understand that, you can understand now, like, not just why do you think the way that you do, but you also have to think about why this woman is thinking the way that she does. You have to be able to fit into her social circle. She's got to look at you and say, all right, I see where this guy fits in. So when we're looking at our thing, if you're looking at like the 1.0 thing, like, dude, the clip with Ryan Gosling from The Believer, it's such a cool clip, but it's also, it kind of demonstrates why that persona has to go, man. And I dig the 1.0 flavor, man. I like that shit, but you can see why this ain't convincing anybody. And you know the one I mean, where he's sitting in a cafe, he's talking to like a little guy doing an article or whatever, and he's like, so you're suggesting that the Jews control the media? And he's like, the Jews clearly control the media. They undermine and deracinate society. Deracinate. And I love that clip, man. It's fantastic. But you could see where, like if you're talking to, in the case of a woman, and you're trying to pick her up, or if you're talking to a normie and you're trying to get them to see you as someone they would take advice from, you've got to understand where you need to fit into that 150 person social circle. They've got to have it in their head that, like, if I introduce this person to people that I work with, or if I introduce them to like my family or my close friends or my wife or, whatever, is this person going to embarrass me? You have to keep that in mind. And you might be willing to say like, well, man, fuck this guy. I don't give a shit what you think. You don't have to give a shit what he thinks. That's not the point here. But if you want to convince this person to think things the way that you think them, to look at a situation the way you do, and arrive at the conclusion that you arrive at, this is something you have to consider. All right? Because nobody's bringing fucking 1.0 to Thanksgiving dinner. All right? That's just the news. But if you're the kind of guy that's like, dude, this guy is just the coolest. This guy's cool as shit. Man, dude, you want to come to Thanksgiving? Like, oh, I can't. I have just so much else going on, but I really appreciate the invite, right? So that's one thing to consider. And that can, like, how would I fit into this person's life? What do you want this person to think of you as? That is a really good stepping off point for, like, how should I package myself as I approach whatever, a woman in a bar or a woman in a grocery store, or a person that you're going to try to talk to about, our tiny-hatted friends. Moving on from there, the tricky part, dude, and it's the trickiest part and it's the simplest part, is the approach. The approach. With the woman thing, it's much, much easier, one, insofar as a lot of times the situations where you would be doing this is a situation where some woman is looking to be approached anyways. All right, you see how they dress. They want you to notice them, right? So a lot of times, like, the work is half done for you. All you got to do is go up and say something halfway interesting. I'll tell you this, when I was like neck deep in this shit, like when I was really into it, and it is a learnable skill. It is a skill set. I will tell you that. When I was good at it, like, I would just walk up and I would have nothing prepared. I would have absolutely nothing prepared to say. I would walk right up and just say something. And it's not because I'm so fucking cool. It's nothing like that. It's just that I think they know. I mean, they do know that, like, the guy just wants to talk to me. Yeah, I just want to talk to you. And you can walk up and just say almost anything, as long as it's not fucking dull. I mean, this shit of like, so what do you do? Like, that shit is, they don't give a fuck. All right? They don't want to talk about their fucking career. Ask something interesting. Ask something fucking silly. Hey, I like your socks. I actually said that to a chick once. I love your socks. It's fucking silly, but it works. In terms of like professional grade material, then, what you're looking at is two things. One, a situational open, or two, an opinion open. A situational open is something that you're talking about the situation. If you're in like a bar or some other setting, a fucking park, whatever, you walk up and you talk about this place or something that's going on or something that you heard last week that went on here. Dude, were there people dancing on the bar here last week? I thought I heard something about that. And now you're standing there talking. They might have an opinion about it. Honestly, it helps if it's something you did actually hear, because if it's something bizarre and they're just like, nope, well, that's information too. I mean, they might even want to talk to you, but you just kind of blew yourself out of the water. Like, what the fuck was that? It can be a situational opener. I saw this one described as the grandpa opener, where you walk up and talk about, like, whatever the fuck they have on, man. Your purse, your backpack, your sweater, your socks, whatever, man. And it could be like, my niece was asking for a purse, and I think it was this one. What brand is this? Where did you get this? Where can I get this? And this is like the kind of shit that like your grandfather would do. And it does kind of suck when you think of it in terms of like, yeah, your grandfather wasn't actually, he didn't really give a shit about school or your, whatever, your hoodie. He just wanted to fucking talk to you, you piece of shit. Why didn't you talk to your grandfather? What the fuck's wrong with you, right? So, the grandpa opener. The other one then, so you got like your situational, and again, that plays well with us because you could say like, dude, I thought, what did you think about that? And you could like point to a TV, or, oh, there was a guy just up there talking about the Zelensky thing, man, I don't know. And a lot of times people will just go with that, or especially if you hear somebody talking about politics or anything political, because I mean, at this point, what's not political? But that's an easy opener. So that also sort of stems into the last, and one of my favorite that really works best, is the opinion opener. And you can legit, like, you can make shit up and just roll up and be like, hey, you look like you know, give me your opinion on this. And it's the dumbest damn thing, but like, you can look like a total schnook, but people will take it as a compliment that like, I look like somebody who knows a thing or two, right? And you can go up, and it works good if you've got like your friend with you, and if they kind of understand the opener, that helps as well. Whenever I would do it, like, the idea here is that you yourself, you have to take kind of the schnook position, like the dipshit position, like you were wrong. Because if they're going to take, the person, your target, if they're going to take the more reasonable position, you don't want to, you don't want to have to argue with them or some kind of shit. So, like, if you were hitting on a woman, dude, what? Something like, how about girls who cut their hair really short? So, like, we would roll up, and now I'll say, like, hey, look, you look like someone who would know. Give me your opinion on this. I think that it's kind of tacky for girls to cut their hair really short. He thinks it's okay, and I don't know, we just have a difference of opinion. I want to hear what you think, right? Like, some woman will go on and on about this, but what she'll do now is she's going to tell me that a woman can cut her hair any way that she wants. It's her right, it's her privilege, and there are actually some girls who look really good with short hair. And I'll go, oh, I hadn't really thought of, I don't know, like who? I'm thinking of it, but I can't remember her name. And if you've got one on hand, that's even easier, right? But now I'm in a position like, oh, you're teaching me something. I'm learning from this dingbat, right? So it's kind of canned and it's kind of cheap, but it fucking works. And she's going to teach me about why women should get to do what they want and different hairstyles. And it doesn't have to be short, or maybe like what they call like a pixie cut or some other shit, so whatever goth girl cut. And she's going to tell me all about it. But I don't actually want to hear about the haircut. All I want to hear is your earrings jangling back and forth. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how this opinion opener works. With the opinion opener with our thing, to sort of get somebody going on this thing, I mean, dude, you can't throw a rock without people talking politics right now. So if you hear somebody, or even you see somebody that looks like they might have a political opinion, you can roll right up and be like, you have one of those Chinese purses. Do you have an opinion on that? Right? Or you can roll up with like, hey, me and him were trying to settle this thing. What do you think about this, Teddy? You look like someone who would know. And off you fucking go. So now you're in the middle of this conversation, and this was, this was one that I learned from the pickup artist community that translated perfectly to like the informant interrogation type of work. And it's a fucking monster. But the concept of a conversational flow, like I read, when I first learned about this shit, like I got this off of like a bootleg PDF copy. It was a no shit, like a book, but somebody had taken pictures of each page and it made a PDF of it. And like you'd have to know somebody who knew somebody to get this fucking thing. Like, bro, do you have a copy of that thing? Oh, dude, I think I know somebody who has it. And you get this and you'd pour through this fucking thing. But this dude had written out this deal of like, here is what a conversation looks like, had like drawn like a graph of like, this is the way that this goes. And the way that it works is like a normal conversation. It'll start with a thing, fucking whatever, man, sports. Okay, it starts with fucking sports. And then it could go on to like, this is you and your boy. It could go on to like sports, and that time we went to a game and we had that beer. What kind of beer was it? It was light beer. Light beer. Oh, they made the best commercials. So you went from sports to beer to commercials. And now it's going to oscillate between, It's going to oscillate between like 3 or 4 of these things, right? That's just a normal conversation. And eventually one of these things is going to peter out and maybe a new thing pops up, but that's like the flow of a conversation where different topics are going to come up and they're going to lead back into previous topics. And at some point, maybe some of those are going to die and a new topic will emerge. But that's just the way that like a conversational flow will go. And, and if you run out of shit or somebody's got to leave, that's just the way that it is. But if you're like stuck someplace, like, you and your boy stuck on an airplane for 3 hours and you're talking, and like, whatever, everybody's battery died. You don't got anything to listen to. If you're talking, this is the way a conversational flow will go. If you know this, all right, now you can sort of mimic the way a conversation will flow, but you will be the one to interject like your piece of the puzzle into this thing. So if you want to talk about, we're wasting money in Israel. All right, like this is your thing. Like, what are the different points that you can drag this topic into the conversation? You've got money, you've got immigration, you've got war crimes, you've got all of this, like many different avenues by which you could bring up this thing. So what you have to do now is think through your head, and sometimes you could develop what dudes would call the frozen chunk. And this was actually a term I learned at language school, where like you go and you get tested out for a language. Like this was something they tell you. They're like, look, you can get frozen chunks if you want, but if you walk in here with them, we're gonna instantly kind of know that like maybe you don't know this language as well as you think you do, or you want us to think you do. And what they mean by frozen chunk is like these are all things that you have heard. Like if you think of a foreign language is the perfect example. So if you hear "Sprechen Sie Deutsch," like you know that this means do you speak German, right? But you don't understand like how does this conjugation work? How does the structure of this sentence work? Why does the Z, why does this come after the verb? Why is it formulated this way? You don't understand all that stuff, but you do understand that these words altogether mean that idea. So you can have this for, if you've got something worked out where you're going to test out for a language, and people would have this shit where it's like, oh, well, I think this about the school system, but when I think about it more carefully, and they're like, frozen chunk, fuck you. But in the pickup artist community, they called it canned material. Language school, they called it frozen chunks. Pickup artists called it canned material. And what this was like a piece of dialogue that you had worked out specifically. So it's not like the political debate speech where this, like, I was born a middle-class kid, okay? And my mom worked every day, 12 hours a day to come home, like not shit like that. This would be more like, it's like an interactive thing. And the one that I had read about in this book, it was one of, okay, here's a good one. This is a really good one. This isn't the one I was going to share, but this one's really good. This is it's called the best friends test, but you'll see what I mean. So the idea here is you roll up and you say, maybe you by yourself or you with your friend, whatever, you roll up and you approach, say, two women in a bar, right? And you're talking and you're like, hey, let me ask you something. Are you guys best friends? And they'll be like, oh yeah, maybe, yeah, sort of. You're pretty close friends though, right? You go, yeah, and then you say, well, so in every relationship, you can kind of tell, like, one of you is like kind of the dominant one and one of you is more the one that does whatever the other one says. And they'll kind of like look at each other and like, I don't know. And this actually works better when they're not really best friends, because a lot of times best friends with women will be like, oh yeah, I'm the one that just does whatever. She's like so bossy. But so the idea here is then you go, okay, let me ask you this. Do you guys use the same shampoo? And now one of them will always look at the other one. Sometimes they'll look at look at each other at the same time, but reality is whatever you say it is, right? So you say, do you guys use the same shampoo? And now, like, the answer is that, like, oh yeah, so like the one that's looking at the other one, you're looking for the approval. So you're looking to see what she's going to say. Now, a couple things could happen. One, they'll just think you're like, it's just a parlor trick, which it is. It's fucking stupid. It just keeps the conversation flowing. But the other part of it is that if you do get anything out of this, now you know which one of these is going to mother hen if you were going to try to take one of these out of here, right? So if you try to take the dingbat out of here, she might look for approval from this other one and be like, oh no, my friend's going to get all mad at me. I can't. Fuck, right? So if you were kind of either or on this thing, you either got to go for the dominant one, or you got to get your wingman to suppress the, if it's a fat chick, sorry man, it's your turn, jump on this grenade so I can do my thing over here. With our thing though, if you're talking about canned material, the idea here is that it's got to be an interactive thing. It can't be like, I was raised a middle class kid and you just talk for 10 fucking minutes. That's fucking gay and AIDS, and nobody fucking likes it, and everybody recognizes it. That's shit. All right? So have your points that you're going to try to get to, but then the other part of this is that they've got to answer some kind of question. Like, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? So when you start talking about, this is where this kind of parlays in, is that when you start giving them the room to speak, when you start asking questions, you got to have your questions set up. And I'm not, like, let me rewind a little. Like, I'm not saying you got to do this shit to convince people of what we're, talking about. Because what we're talking about is, honestly, like, is the truth, dude. And I've said 1,000 times, man, if you can make this 6 million number make sense for me, I'll be on your side tomorrow. I just haven't seen it so far. So we're only talking about the truth here, right? So just the same, you are talking to people that have been brainwashed since birth to believe a certain thing. So there is going to be some steering required. But so to do this thing, when you start talking to people about, well, what do you think about this? Sometimes you have to do a little bit of what is called frame control. And again, this is another pickup artist thing where, like, reality is what I say it is. And what's normal is what I say it is. So if you're looking over both shoulders and you're all hunched over and you're like, I'm just not really sure about this 6 million thing. Like, you look like a fucking cashew. Stop that shit. All right? Stand up straight. And they're like, how can you even deny something as clearly documented as this? If you just laugh it off and you're like, no serious person believes that. like total frame control. Like that frame just shifted. Like what's normal is not what it was 5 minutes ago. You just realigned what that person sees as normal. But you got to stand the fuck up straight. This is probably where the approach is the easiest. The frame control is the hardest. And I will tell you that within our thing, just like within hitting on women, the frame control is something that we all got to practice hard. Because you've been beaten so fucking hard about the head, neck, and shoulders with, oh, eternal victim, oh, like 6 million, oh, how could you possibly say, oh, it's so well documented, oh, the most written about, oh, so many confessions, oh, all these victims. Are you going to say to this old woman that she's a liar? You're absolutely right, I will. I mean, if she's lying, why would I not, right? So frame control, like always being willing to stand up straight and be like, no, man, this is reality right here. And just like, I mean, dude, this Zion Dawn, this is something that this guy is an absolute master of. Like, I won't give that guy too much credit, but this dude has frame control like 10 motherfuckers. Like, this guy could stand there and with a straight face tell you that the moon is made of cream cheese. I mean, he could tell you that you've got $1 million in your pocket right now, and you'll start feeling around. Like, maybe I do. Let me check this out. Maybe I'm the one that's all fucked up. Like, this dude is really good at this shit. And like, no, I'm not apologizing. I have no idea what you're talking about. And I mean, this guy frame controlled his way past what should have been a throwaway election, out of a bunch of felonies, and straight back into the White House because he's like, yeah, this is all bullshit. It's total bullshit. I mean, did the guy do all that shit that they're saying he did? Yeah, I'm sure he probably did. But, I mean, this guy fucking ran with it. I mean, this guy did not back down. So that, if nothing else, should illustrate just how strong frame control is if you will grab onto it. Some of the other items there, these are things called cognitive biases, and you can look this up. There's books on this shit, and this is something that salespeople use, is cognitive biases. So the idea of the cognitive bias, this circles back to the outdated software in your head, where your brain is programmed to survive in a world that no longer exists. Like, you're no shit programmed to survive in a hunter-gatherer, 150 person type setting, right? That's the fucking facts. And I can demonstrate this to you by, if you look at any kind of a sales thing, what are they always telling you? They're telling you about limited time only, dude. You got to get in here. You got to get it now. If you're going to get it, now is the time. Do not fuck around. Do not wait. This is called a scarcity bias. So if you're talking about, if you want this, whatever the fuck it is, this car, right? This fucking Nissan Altima with 200,000 miles on it. If you want this thing, you're going to have to get in here now, right now, today. I got 10 other people looking at it. Limited time only. I'm making special offers today, only this weekend. Get on down here. Check it out. 200,000 mile Nissan Altima. In the back of your mind, you're like, fuck, dude, if I want this thing, I got to go now. That's the scarcity bias, like getting into your, like flipping your little switches. If you think about it, honestly, you know that there are plenty of Nissan Altimas out there with 200,000 miles. You'll be able to find another one tomorrow if you just look for a little while. But that scarcity bias is going to tell you that, no, it's got to happen now. Another component of this, these cognitive biases, there's a stack of these fucking things. Another one that I really like is called the, what do they call it, man? We called it the fucking cooties bias, but I can't remember, fuck, dude, I can't remember the proper name of it, because it actually has like some, scientific name, like scarcity bias. But the idea here is that this kind of shit goes with that kind of shit. So it's just like when you look at anything that's for sale and it's got, okay, like going to shop for a car is the perfect example. So if you've got hot women, you've got everything is spick and fucking span, all of this shit is like perfect. It's shit hot. Like, dude, you buy a car here, you're taken care of. Like, everything here is just so. You know that this place is like, there's no fucking cooties here. But where you get the idea of like cooties is if there's like one thing that's fucked up. Just like the 1.0 dude. Like, this guy, man, he probably drinks a little bit. He's got tattoos on his fucking neck. Dude, I don't know about this. I'm not completely sure. Like, this might not be the smartest move. This guy might have a felony record or something. Whatever this guy, I mean, this guy might be the smartest motherfucker in the room. He might be the most on-the-money political analyst ever to walk the earth. But because of this other thing, because of these cooties, you're going to look at him and be like, I don't really think so. So in some ways, this does sort of parlay into the thing of, like when you say like, oh, if you're going to go to like an Asian food joint, what do people always say? Like Asian food or Mexican food joint. What do people always say? Oh yeah, it's those shitholes. It's the places like the hole in the wall. Those are always the best places. Oh, dive bars. Those are always the coolest places. Yeah, that's well and good, but that takes a long time to work up to. All right. It's sort of like the goth girl thing, like sexy goth girlfriend or whatever. That's a very niche type thing. So if you're going to convince somebody that like, yeah, man, you should think what I think, you can't pull out your credit card to pay for a beer and it gets declined. Like, sorry, sir. Like, there might be nothing wrong with it. Maybe their machine is fucked up. But you can't look like an asshole, right? That's like all of the fucking social capital you just built up. Like, that just got shot to shit because you obviously don't have your finances squared away. All right. You do hear people talking a lot about like, how do you dress? And I will tell you, man, that how you dress, dude, that can go any number of ways in this environment. But you gotta think of it this way, you just gotta have a reason. Just have a reason for doing what you're doing. I was telling the dudes tonight, the guys I was hanging out with, I one time I was at an event doing a gig where the guy you've seen this shit like in airports or like fucking malls or whatever, this Life is Good product, right? You've seen this shit. The guy who started that was at this thing. This fucking guy was walking around in like the hotel robe and a set of broke ass flip-flops. Did not give a fuck. Looked like a fucking hobo. But when you hear like, yeah, he's the guy that started that Life is Good thing, then you're like, oh, now you look at the guy a little bit different. All right. What he has on starts to make sense. If you've got like some broke ass t-shirt or you've got some fucking shorts or some fucking flip-flops, you can do this shit, but you kind of got to have a reason for doing what you're doing. The same way if you're doing like the optics cuck thing where you're dressed like in a fucking suit, or a fucking light blue tuxedo like you just came from a Mexican wedding or some shit, you need to have a reason to look like that too. Don't try to act like you just walk around wearing a suit all the fucking time, right? That's fucking silly. So the last thing I want to wrap up on with this, and this is straight out of like operator handbook, like if you want somebody to be your informant and you're going to expect at some point that they're going to like, yeah, this guy's going to, like, if he sees something, he's going to say something. This guy's going to let me know. If that's, what you want, this is the approach for you. But the idea here is always the follow-up. Like, I want to know when we're linking up again. I'm not going to leave this to chance. So you want to try to set a follow-up with this person. Now, if you're talking to some dude in a bar, it's going to be very fucking weird to be like, bro, let's link up again. But it can be a thing of like, if during the course of the conversation you talk about, hey, do you hang out at this place? Oh, I've never been here before. Is this a place dudes hang out or a good place to get a beer or whatever? Any of that kind of shit, that's good shit. Maybe you run into them again, as you wrap up. You can put that in during the conversation. Then when you leave, like, yeah, dude, if you hang out here, man, I might be back through town. Good talking to you. I'll see you later, whatever. And good enough. Maybe you talk again. If that's not your cup of tea, or it is someplace that you're never going to be again, you can give homework assignments where you could be like, dude, seriously, take a look at whatever the fuck, a book or an article or a video or anything off the top of your head. If you've got something when you're talking about videos, know your audience, man. If it's somebody that's right on the fence and ready to throw Romans and just needs a little push, your rope of the last battle, greatest story never told, this kind of stuff, shill that shit. If it's somebody that's not quite there yet, that's maybe kind of like, I don't know, dude, I don't know. But if you have got some quick, short kind of a video that's like, look, dude, here's like a total impartial analysis of it. Here's like a 10-minute YouTube video. Look up whatever the fuck. There was one that I saw a while ago. I think it was called Were the Germans So Stupid? And it was like, it's like 10 minutes or something like that. And it's like a really good thing. Like, wow, I hadn't thought of it like that before. That's a good fucking point. So that was one that I've used before, and it works pretty good. And I think it actually is still on YouTube, you know, surprisingly. But apart from that, man, if I think of some more, I'll add it in the next episode. But that's like a good overview. If you do those things, like if you do these things, like none of these things are like a one punch, like, you know, people are going to become wind-up soldiers and you'll just do whatever you say now. But if you can get some level of skill with any of these items, your chances of convincing somebody to see things your way goes up, up, up. And like I said, yeah, if I think of something else, I'll include it on the next one. But for now, I think I'm going to probably get going, man. I'm almost back to the pad. And yeah, I'll tell you what, dude, I think I'm going to get back on the back into a cocktail or two here and there. One of the dudes in the chat was like, bro, I'm going to get some drinks. Oh, sorry, coffee. I'm like, bro, don't fucking apologize to me. I was only taking a step back from this shit to see if it would do anything to my lagging tea levels. But alas, it did not, so I don't give a fuck. And actually another dude hit me up and was like, hey, man, I really appreciate you talking about that, man. That's like, I know it's hard to talk about. I'm like, what? Not really. But I'll tell you what, though, I did see a thing, because I had seen this before, and I didn't think anything of it. I saw it a few years ago, but I looked for it again because this whole fucking thing reminded me of it, and it's this deal called operator syndrome, and it's basically like dudes that live a lifestyle of like very high stress and sleep deprivation that leads to endocrine disruption, where like your hormones get all fucked up because you're stressed out of your fucking mind and you're not sleeping right. And it's one of these things that just snowballs. And it talks about how, yeah, okay, you could say PTSD, but that's also like a component of all this other shit. That's not, like, all this other shit is not just PTSD. Like, you know, having a sense of like, yeah, I'm not really thinking about 5 years or 10 years down the road. I'll just be happy to get through next week. Like, that's a huge component of that. Or like just this mental, like an emotional numbness of like, yeah, I ain't really happy. I ain't really anything. I'm just kind of, fuck it, man. I don't know. Just whatever. Like that's a thing. But a lot of this, it all kind of goes together. And then honestly, it's not just for operators. Like, this is anybody that lives this kind of life. And increasingly, this could be like just a regular Joe. You're a guy in a fucking cubicle. Like, you're trying to not get fired by Shaniqua in HR. You're trying your ass off to get some kind of a promotion, so maybe someday, somehow, you could have a couple of white kids to rub together, right? You're busting your ass. This shit's stressful. You're staying up late. I mean, it's the same fucking thing, dude. So, this shit is, like, operator syndrome is not just for operators. But, yeah, I looked at that shit and it was like, yeah, you do this shit long enough, man, like, you'll get some permanent negative side effects. And I'm like, oh, that explains it. So, first chance I get, man, I'm fucking getting on the T train, and then we'll see who gets fucking jacked and tan, right? In any case, I think I've had about as enough as I can stand, and I'm sure you've had your fill. But if you dig this shit, leave it where somebody could find it. And you could give me a hard time at niceguy.coffee on the gram, t.me/the abuse hour on the Telegram, or t.me rant room, and dig the fucking chat associated with this complete sack of shit podcast. Otherwise, it's available anywhere shady content is purveyed. And until next time, you just keep your eyes on the horizon, keep your neck out of the noose. I have been Coffee, and these are my takes.